Following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to We Are the People with Tracy Marks and Jorge Estamba, who ask you to know what's happening with your student loan. Tracy and Jorge keep a deep look at student loans in this country and the industries that surround it. Every week, We Are the People will bring you new insight into the corporate welfare industry, such as bailouts, and they connect with student loans. The show will highlight on your constitutional rights and how the current system is built to infringe upon them. Join the conversation by visiting our website chat room at wearethepeople.tv. Or call the show at 888-565-1470 and let us hear from you. And now, let's tune in to Tracy and Jorge for this week's discussion.
Good evening and welcome back to WRPBITV.com. We're live in Boca Raton, Florida, except we're not really live because this is recorded. Today we have Brittany Hyatt with us from FAU. She is would it be fair to call you a student activist? But you're past being a student activist now, but she did start out as one.
I'm a graduate student teaching assistant and still very much an activist.
Good. And as you all know, we are here with Jorge Estamba, my co-host and MoveOn.org leader. So today what we're going to talk about is the way an institution breaks down. As a student, I loved my professors. They were amazing, my deans. But now that I'm out of college and this student loan issue is finally really heating up, what happens is a lot of the wrong people are getting blamed for making too much money and several other things. So basically what we're going to do, Brittany has been through the school system in more ways than one, so she has a lot of information. I think that might open your eyes, give you something to work with. And with that, I'm going to let Jorge start out with the questioning, and we'll go from there.
Okay, fine. Welcome, Brittany, to the program. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
First thing I want you to do for us, explain what your responsibilities, your title is, and the responsibilities that go with that title.
At Florida Atlantic University, as a graduate student who's also a teaching assistant, I assistant teach the course Introduction to Sexuality and Gender Studies. It's an undergraduate course. It was actually my first women's studies course that I ever took at FAU, so I'm very proud. I also assist in the department, and I put on organizing events for the Feminist Graduate Student Association.
Oh, fantastic. Sounds interesting. Now, in a college institution, in a university environment, obviously you have a hierarchy, and that's where a lot of people get confused, their responsibilities and how they're compensated, and they feel that everybody is more or less basically the same. I'd like to explain that hierarchy so people can understand how the levels are distributed and so forth with the different titles, so that we can understand a little bit better how it's structured at universities such as yours, which is basically, I would believe, more or less the model for the standard university system in our country.
Florida Atlantic University is a state public university, so there is a standard that goes along with that. However, there are varying titles to the hierarchies from college to college. So at FAU, as a graduate student assistant, I'm basically at the very lower rank. And then above me are the adjuncts, which are part-time faculty. And then there's instructors who are non-tenured professors, assistant professors, associate professors, and then full tenure professors. And then above them are the academic administrators, including the deans and the department chairs, and then above them would be the officers of the corporation, which include the presidents and the provosts.
Okay, would that include, the deans, I guess you would call them. Not the dean. Who is the head of the school? I know what it's called in a for-profit. Okay, it's president at FAU too.
Right.
So they're definitely in a whole different level than
absolutely
all the rest of them.
Yeah, they have six-figure incomes and a lot of benefits that come along with them.
A lot of them, stock benefits if it's for-profit.
Right, and the president also has access to a mansion that they live at on campus at Florida Atlantic
Oh,
University.
mansion?
I didn't know that.
Yes.
They get
Is
to
that
live in a
standard procedure
mansion?
for universities that are state?
I believe so. I believe
I didn't know that.
FAU is not unique in that. It's called the Baldwin House at FAU.
See how we learn all these facts, ladies and gentlemen, that are really, really secrets to us? And it's not that he doesn't deserve it, he has a position, but it's very interesting that in today's environment that there's a problem with finances, but, I mean, I'm not being critical at this point in time. I'm just surprised. I had no idea that that existed.
Yeah, and of course those are very few positions where faculty get those sort of luxuries. And that's actually a misinterpretation of the university system as a whole, that everyone who works at a university is in a position of elite power. More often, such as the adjuncts are 75% of college instructors, a lot of them actually are being paid poverty wages.
Oh, that's terrible what they're being paid.
Yeah.
They literally are around the poverty wage?
For an adjunct professor who's only teaching one course, the minimum they can be paid is $3,500.
Oh, that's more than they pay at the for-profit.
Okay.
A lot more. It's about half that, seriously.
Yeah. This is on a federal level for
Federal, okay.
state universities.
Well, it's good that they know the differences between the two. I want people to know that as well.
Right. And so that being 75% of the college instructors, not that all of them are being paid exactly that, because
Correct.
most of the time they don't teach just one class, they teach many classes. But for that amount of money, when we compare the poverty level in the United States to being $10,890, we can see that adjuncts very well and very often do fall at or below the poverty line in terms of monetary compensations. And also the benefits are just not there.
No benefits at
Adjunct
all.
professors do not have health insurance, and neither do PhD students or graduate.
And I have
No health insurance whatsoever?
No, none at all.
There are health insurance programs through the university, however, it's not a benefit that comes with the job.
I understand.
They have to pay.
It has to come out of their own pocket.
Right.
I'm curious myself, an adjunct professor per se, I've always heard that, but in all honesty, I don't know exactly what that means. What is the difference between an adjunct professor and another type of professor? What is the differentiation there?
Adjuncts are part-time.
Okay.
Right. So even though the amount of hours that they put in probably well exceeds
yeah.
full-time positions, there's a cap on the amount of hours they can legally be paid for. So it's basically a way to maintain the hierarchy where there are a lot of people getting paid a lot, or small people getting paid a lot, and then a lot of people working a lot of hours and not getting paid or with benefits.
Well, that works like that with Walmart and
Right.
Publix. Both do this. They have amazing training if you're upper level management, and but if you're the low guy on the totem pole, you're lucky to get hours at all. And then with the adjuncts, it's really bad because, you're talking hours and hours of preparation for classwork and stuff. This isn't just, a snap your finger, because and adjuncts don't last if they're really bad because people, they'll tell and they get rid of them because they're a dime a dozen, literally. It's almost like Kenny at South Park.
Right, you're right that this is not unique to the public university system. And the average earning for adjuncts is actually between $20,000 to $25,000 a year with no benefits. So this is still not
And that's average. There's
ideal
some very
for-
low.
No, it's not an ideal income in today's environment, definitely not. I've always been curious, what position comes after a president in power in the hierarchy level at a university such as yours? After the president, what's the next in line?
You mean right
Your
below the
office-
president?
Right below the president, yes.
Provost?
The provost.
Right.
What is
Okay.
provost?
Yes,
I don't even know
I was
what
just
that
going to
is.
ask that. I've always heard that term, I don't know what it is.
I understand it to be sort of an assistant to the president who
Okay.
works with the deans and so forth, and there's sort of a chain of command that follows.
Oh, so that's a title for one person, provost?
There's assistant provost as well.
Okay, but okay, I gotcha. I was
Right.
thinking they were like a board or something like that.
No.
Yeah, see, I didn't know.
Okay, that brings up an interesting point. Does Florida Atlantic University specifically, is there a board of directors per se?
There's a board of trustees.
Trustees, which would be equivalent to a board of directors in the private sector or
Right.
corporate world?
Right.
Okay.
They're not paid, however, they are employed through, or I should say appointed through the governor. So Rick Scott appoints the board of trustees, and they make large financial decisions for the university in consultation with the president.
So the governor of Florida has the right and the duty to name all the board of trustees at every state institution in the state of Florida? Is that how it works?
Yes.
The governor is, that's his
governor.
responsibility?
Now you know who to write. Right, the
Yes.
governor.
Now we know who to write
Okay.
about these boards.
And-
That's interesting. We're finding out a lot of things that we didn't know.
Well, and then it's truly is different from the for-profit, which is what I came up in and worked in. So anyway, with that, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Thank you.
Welcome a new sponsor to the show. It's AMP2 TV, the first and only internet network that's truly plugged in. When you're looking for a full-service internet television production company, discover AMP2 TV, a full-service production company that can provide all streaming videos in studio or remotely. They offer web page development, and they use all the latest platforms to help make your business selling points more powerful. They can do remotes and live streaming, as well as tape productions. Let AMP2 TV handle all of your television production needs. Choose from a variety of creative TV and radio packages and see why AMP2 TV works with many major companies, including Comcast, Bravo, and Fox 29, as well as individuals and businesses of all types and sizes. To see samples of their work or to find out more, visit their website at amp2.tv. That's AMP2.tv. Or call them at 1-866-224-5422. That's 866-224-5422.
Welcome back to We Are the People, Students for Liberty at WRPBI.com. Thank you for joining us. We're here in Boca Raton, Florida, and it is beautiful outside. I hope you're jealous. Anyway, we're back with Brittany, and as with any other business, you know, women do have their own sets of problems that they have to overcome. So basically, I want to talk a little bit about that, because being with Move On, there is a lot to do with that. It does tie in with student loans in many different ways, and over time, you know, we're going to show you more and more how these things connect. So Brittany, tell me some of the things that you've experienced personally that you've seen with your friends and what's going on.
Well, as we were talking about adjuncts, I wanted to bring back the poverty line of being just under $11,000. And I want to talk about childcare because many of the adjuncts, which again are 75% of college instructors, are mothers. And while they're at work, they need someone to be watching their children. And a lot of them also are single mothers. So when we look at the annual cost of childcare in the United States on a federal level being between $4,000 to $8,000, depending on the age of the child, it's a question of how women are able to afford childcare and also afford everything else in life and be able to make ends meet in such a way. And this also is compared to the average in-state cost of tuition and fees at a public university, which is around $5,600. So with being a student and being an adjunct, I'm not an adjunct, I'm a graduate teaching assistant. Right, so it's just the amount of disparity between the wages that they're earning and the amount of money it takes to be a mother and to be, you know, an active citizen. There's definitely injustice.
Right, well, if
happening.
there's no money left, there's no money to contribute to the economy. And childcare is very expensive, and even if you have Section 8, they may take care of part of it, but usually these people make too much money. You know, people think that, you know, we're getting all this stuff. You can't even get food stamps in the state of Florida if you make over $249, okay? That's Florida. I know it's different everywhere, but you know, it is hard. You got childcare. You know, your babysitter doesn't show up. I don't care how many backup plans you have. If you have no family here, and that's what I see a lot of. I don't know about you, but people don't have it. So they don't have that support system that we used to have. And as a matter of fact, thank God my relatives on my son's father's side were around. There were 6 brothers and sisters, so, but now I have nothing, and thankfully he's a little
There's
older.
no support anymore,
But-
family support.
So have you seen some major crash and burns with some people trying to make this work, and it just didn't pan out? And, I mean, because it seemed to me like I saw people dropping like flies.
Well, being an adjunct is seen as being on your way into entering the hierarchy. You're not quite on the hierarchy because you're not a full-time staff member or faculty. So with $3,500 being the baseline for one course taught at a university, and childcare being anywhere on the upwards of $4,000, a lot of the time mothers are just working so that they can take care of their children while they're working to get into the hierarchy.
Right.
That's incredible.
And they're really taken advantage of. It's just like with the poor and with the vets. They are targeted because
Yes.
they are looking for their way out. And it's like, oh my God, this is a godsend. These people have answered all my questions. I'm going to go in there, and they tell you you're going to make all this money. You know, they show you paperwork. I don't know, did they do that at FAU? They actually, I had looked up my own, but I had paperwork. Oh yeah, these are the averages. And they were. You could research it yourself and see all those same averages. But then when you actually go out into the world, none of those figures match. Have you noticed that, or is...
The cost of living is very high,
In Florida.
unexpectedly in many ways. And because adjuncts don't have health insurance, if you get sick and you need to go to the doctor, making around the poverty line amount.
That throws your whole budget way off, and you're going to be in tremendous, deep financial problems.
Absolutely.
If you just get sick, which we're all human, and that's very sad.
Absolutely.
Because an event like that can throw you off tremendously.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's the mental suffering, there's the stress, and that
That's
turns
very hard to
into
come back from
a
without
tremendous
help.
repercussion of a vicious circle because of just one event. And of course, it's interrelated because, like you said, they don't have a large base salary to begin with. They have the expenses with the baby care and everything, and it just, it just doesn't add up. And that's what these politicians in Washington and in our state in Tallahassee, I think they do understand, maybe.
It just
but the thing
doesn't
is
affect their
they
life
don't
directly.
care. They don't care.
You know what, but I gotta say, it's not that I never cared, it's like I was hiding from things. This stuff is all overwhelming, and you don't really care, I don't think, until it happens to you. So maybe that's why all this crap in the world is happening, because people need to be humbled, because we don't care unless it involves ourselves or someone we love. So then once that happens, then all of a sudden, here we are, here I am, and I'm ashamed, but I'm proud at the same time. It is what it is. I can't change it. But I do have a friend that adjunct, running around in a van trying to get jobs all over. I mean, he was a vet that gets very poor quality care, has a lot of health issues, and the man sleeps in his van. So he doesn't have to drive because he can't afford the gas. So he can go in and teach, okay? And then he gets another job, and it's far away. And it's just, with the transportation in Florida and all the broken systems, I mean, California and Florida are 2 of the worst states, I think,
In terms of...
in terms of poverty and these types of issues, just inequality. And if you go to the unpopulated areas of Florida, the poverty is just devastating.
It increases tremendously.
You've got the filthy rich, and then you've got people that are freaking buying dollar store popcorn to survive on. So that just don't shake out fair, no matter what way you say
No,
it.
it's
So,
horrible. It really is.
and we had one more subject we wanted to
Yes,
touch on. Brittany?
I have a question for Brittany, and which is related to what we're just talking. We have seen the federal government and state government, unfortunately, have a very unbalanced and unjust discriminatory practice of slashing social funds, educational funds, etc., while that money goes to some privileged corporations with all the loopholes and etc. And that's for another show and so
Or the
forth, but it is related.
for-profit entities.
Private entities.
Schools,
yes.
even, I mean.
Even in the educational field, you're right, it goes into private entities. So I was very interested to hear what happens in today's environment of reduction, of austerity measures from different government levels. how that has affected Florida Atlantic University. How has your funding been affected? If so, how you've been slashed, how you've been reduced, and so forth? Just a general idea what the trend has been.
Absolutely. Florida Atlantic University has been hit hard by these cuts. In 2012 alone, the Florida legislature reduced FAU's general revenue budget for the fiscal year by more than $24.7 million.
Oh, goodness.
So the question is, how do you recover from something like that?
Sell the mansion.
We still have the mansion.
Sell the mansion.
Of course, the mansion is there.
You
We
know?
still have the mansion. So FAU responded in a number of ways by this, and you know, we're still thriving afterward. But in many ways, the state government puts the burden on state universities to seek private funding. And other ways, other than seeking private funding,
Like alumni funding?
through alumni, yes, and I'll touch on that in a second. So we shut down the Port St. Lucie campus. We suspended summer courses, and there were tuition increases.
There were not.
There were.
There were.
Absolutely. So these are some of the ways that FAU tried to outset some of those funding cuts. But these neoliberal policies from the state level, they emphasize that public universities find private funding, and how we do that with the alumni, for instance, was for our new shiny stadium that we have for football. We sought the private funding from the private prison corporation GEO Group, and that was a $6 million donation that GEO Group actually ended up withdrawing because of public pressure from the university saying, we don't want a private corporation with their name on our football stadium. That was not okay with an institution of higher learning to be partnered with a private prison company.
Yeah, well, it's like privatization and through the back door that way.
Right. So these policies create a sort of necessity of finding private funding, but without an ethical viewpoint of where this funding is coming from, then you face big PR issues like FAU faced in spring 2013.
Yeah. Well,
No, that's really sad. Great information from Brittany. It tells us how really these educational institutions are being hit hard. And that's why we in this country are now very last, have been for a number of years, of all the industrialized countries in the world, we are dead last in education.
Yeah.
And this is why things are happening. It's not a mistake. It's not an accident or coincidence.
So think about these things. We don't expect you to agree with us. We're not trying to promote any viewpoint, but we do want you to look into this. Look into it for yourself. You know, I don't care what side you're on, just pick a side, get involved. You know, even the wrong side, and that is interpretive, but you can always change your mind. People do it all the time because you live, you learn, you grow, and you go forward.
Please welcome a new sponsor to the show. It's AMP2 TV, the first and only internet network that's truly plugged in. When you're looking for a full-service internet television production company, discover AMP2 TV, a full-service production company that can provide all streaming videos in studio or remotely. They offer web page development, and they use all the latest platforms to help make your business selling points more powerful. They can do remotes and live streaming, as well as tape productions. Let AMP2 TV handle all of your television production needs. Choose from a variety of creative TV and radio packages and see why AMP2 TV works with many major companies, including Comcast, Bravo, and Fox 29, as well as individuals and businesses of all types and sizes. To see samples of their work or to find out more, visit their website at amp2.tv. That's AMP, the number 2.tv. Or call them at 1-866-224-5422. That's 866-224-5422.
And we're back with Jorge and me, of course. And what we want to do, we've got about 10 minutes or so left of the show. We just want to talk real quick about different subjects that we're passionate about. Jorge's going to talk to you a few things. This is a conglomeration here. I mean, this is my show and it is student loans. But while we are together co-hosting for now, we want to talk about what's passionate for both of us. And although Jorge knows a lot and has a lot of good information on what is important to me, he also has some things that are very important to him, and I want to allow him time to share that on this show as well. So why don't you tell them about what's going on with you, what's important to you, and then we're going to wrap up and tell you some other things that I feel are related to the student loan issue. Probably won't be able to get into a whole lot of why. Maybe you'll come back and see me so I can tell you about that. And then we're going to talk about some different kind of guests that we have planned on what we're looking for and what we hope to do. All right? So why don't you talk to him about a couple of things that are really important to you.
Okay, I'll try to make this as brief as possible. It's a subject that is really passionate to me, and we'll discuss it at more length in other shows, and we'll have guests. And that is what I call, and has been called by many groups, including the media, and that is corporate welfare. Corporate welfare is when the government of the United States of America gives away money to corporations who are selling in billions of dollars and have generating billions of dollars with a B as in boy, in net profits. Net profits, obviously, is what you bring to your pocket after expenses, and that's how you gauge a company. Well, the United States government is doing a tremendous job of helping these poor people, being sarcastic, of course, of giving them billions of dollars in subsidies. That in itself is a term that has been misused, and they have intentionally misled us into what subsidy is. And speaking to people, they think that subsidies are loans. Subsidies are not loans. Subsidies are giveaways. Free money.
Really?
Okay? Completely.
So when they are giving subsidies to all the game companies, to billions, millions at least, to the game companies to make war games, they're giving them subsidies and slashing mental health. They're not alone. They just get that free and clear.
I'm glad we are bringing this up. There is so much misconception, and it has been done intentionally. That's where publicity, marketing goes into being a science, and how we get duped, because everything is marketing, okay? Subsidies are gifts. If the government...
I want a gift.
That's what I was just going to say. I would love for the government to give my little company a subsidy of only $1 million. That's nothing, okay? That means that that's a gift to my company because they're so nice up in Washington. However, your company and the guy in the corner with the pizza place and the hardware and the toy store, etc., 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 they're not going to get that. The corporations that get that are Westinghouse, General Electric, Verizon, ExxonMobil, BP British Petroleum, Shell, which is a Dutch company from the Netherlands. The oil industry gets billions of dollars in government subsidies to these corporations. That is corporate welfare. They are giving money away. That money never comes back.
But they have billions in their own profits. Why do they need government subsidies?
This is something that's why it's passionate to me.
Well,
we'll never see that.
Well, this is going to work out because, okay, I have issue with the corporate for a few different reasons. Oh wow. It
is very sad. It is disrespectful. It is, I don't even know how
to explain it, right?
In a clean language. How to be
well, let's just go past this and talk about your other one, and we'll give a little list of the other.
But corporate warfare is something...
We're going to have guests on for that one,
It's something that is really critical to our country, because the money that we could be using in all these great programs...
It's just people like me that are, Section 8, that are sitting on the couch eating bonbons and sucking down beer. We're the ones that are...
Of course, we're
the one milking the country.
We are the ones that are ruining the country, and we're milking... So this is why this is such a passionate and such a all-encompassing, and all the repercussions that corporate welfare has This is to do a number of shows with people who are experts in the area.
So yes, we'll hear
And-
more about that.
And we're going to hear a lot more about that.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I know another one big to you is the TPP, right?
TPP is something that is a bill that is going. TPP means Trans-Pacific Pact.
You have been listening to We Are the People with social advocates Tracy Marks and Jorge Estamba, who every week bring to the light the needs and changes in our current system. Tune in every Monday night at 7 p.m. on wearethepeople.tv and participate in the conversation in the chat room or call 888-565-1470. Tune in next Monday for more information and facts. And Tracy and Jorge remind you to stay aware of your surroundings and challenges at all times. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.